Hi, my name is Charity Love, and I work here with the Education Department at Mount Sinai Medical Center. Today we're going to do a brief in-service on A-line supply gathering, maintenance, and monitoring. First and foremost, you need to know what supplies you're going to need to gather if the doctor orders an A-line. For example, say a patient, Mr. Indiana Platinum, comes in through the ED for a hypertensive crisis. His blood pressure has skyrocketed and they put him on a cardiac drip. In order to closely monitor his blood pressure in real time, the doctor has decided that they need to place an A-line on this patient. The supplies that you're going to need to gather are as follows. You're going to need a 500 cc bag of normal saline, a pressure cuff, a holder to place the transducer on, a complete transducer kit, the primary cable. This cable is going to be your A-line cable that connects directly to your Spacelabs monitor, and your secondary cable. This secondary cable is going to connect to the primary cable as well as to the transducer. All these items can be found in the ED and red pod number 13 in the blue cart. If you're working in the ICU, all these items can be found either in the supply room or in the supply cabinet. Hi, I'm at the bedside now with Mr. Indiana Platinum. The surgeon has just completed placement of the left radial arterial line. We're going to go through step by step the process of the setup of this line so we can monitor it properly. First, we're going to have the pressure cuff bag hanging from an IV pole. The 500 cc bag of normal saline is inside. We wanted to ensure that we have pumped up the pressure bag until the green color has popped from the top, indicating that adequate pressure is being applied to that bag. We're going to then shut off that system to ensure that no air is leaking. Next, we're going to open up our transducer pack, revealing what you see there. One end is going to have a spike. That spike is going to go into the normal saline bag that is currently pressurized. Halfway down the line, you're going to see the actual plastic transducer component. And then farther down the line, you're going to see how goes to the patient, down goes the tail that's going to be the cable. Always ensure when you set up this A-line monitoring that this plastic transducer component, the way it fits into the holder, the gray cable will always be going downward. Imagine it as if it's the tail. Up goes to the patient, downward is the tail that goes to the cable that connects to the Spacelabs monitor. Ensure that the holder is at the correct placement. You want it to be at the 4th intercostal space mid-axillary line. That's the demarcation to ensure that the waveform you're getting is accurately depicting what their blood pressure is. Next, you're going to need to prime the line. Prairie is going to explain the step-by-step method in priming this line.
Well, when you prime the line, it's really segmented. So you really have to make sure that the port or the line going towards the patient, we need to close it at this moment. And so there's one end all the way from the tubing itself, from the bag, all the way down the connection here to be primed first. So we take out the white cover, and this time we try to prime by tagging this tail at the bottom here. Once everything is primed over here, we get a new white cap and recap the place that is in the first thing that we prime. Then we try to close that area. This time we're gonna go from that point where it's going to the patient all the way down to the section where it's gonna be another port for the exit of drawing blood or anything. So we're gonna start again closing one more segment, which is towards the patient, and we'll try to open that area, and then we have to tag again the pigtail and prime that last area. And we need to get another stereo, which is a part of the whole system in the bag for the arterial line. We close it again, and last segment will be the last part, so we have to close all the way the line that's coming for the patient, but just this short segment, and we try to make sure that we're gonna tag it again, and we open and tag it again this way until we get all the air or bubbles on the system. Now this is fully primed. It's ready to be connected for the patient's line.
Perfect. After we have fully primed it, ensuring that we've done it segmentally, so that way there are no air bubbles in, we're going to connect it to the patient. So first we're going to perform hand hygiene, place our gloves on, we ensure the access point, even though it was just inserted, we're going to clean it vigorously with an alcohol swab or alcohol wipe for at least 5 seconds. And then we're going to connect this line. Once the line is connected properly, we're going to make sure that is opened up to the patient, and we're going to flush it. We want to ensure that it flushes properly by tagging that little blue tail that is on the transducer. Okay, so now we have the cable, the line set up, it's fully primed. It's time to then connect the cables to the monitor. So we're going to grab first the primary cable. The primary cable is going to have a red portion of it. That portion goes into your Spacelabs monitor. At the end of the primary cable, there are dual inputs that you can place multiple cables in. So you're going to connect that secondary cable to one of those dual inputs, as so. And then the distal end of that secondary cable will fit into the tail of your transducer portion. As so. Beautiful. Once this is fully connected into your Spacelabs monitor will flash open a new column showing that arterial waveform. The waveform should appear on the monitor as a waveform with a dichrotic notch. We're going to show you an example up here on the monitor what that waveform should look like if it's properly being monitored and if it's set properly. So you see the second waveform, the yellow one, is going to be your A line. At the top is going to be that dichrotic notch. It has a good slope. It does not appear to be flattened or dampened, which could indicate that maybe that there's a kink or it needs to be flushed. This looks like a good representation of a proper A-line waveform. Now, to ensure we're getting the proper measurements, next what we want to do is we want to zero it. To zero it properly, we're going to ensure that first and foremost, our holder is at the proper demarcation. Remember we said the fourth intercostal space, mid-axillary line. So you want to make sure that that's in line with that area on the patient. After we have done that, what you're going to want to do is you're going to shut off the system to the patient, meaning you're going to turn the stopcock up to the top, which means off to the patient. You're going to open up the white or blue cap open to air. And you're going to want to press on the monitor 0. This should zero it. Wait until that line becomes completely flat and it's going to show 0 over 0. That means it's properly been zeroed. After that's completed, you're going to recap it, open it back up to the patient, and flush it thoroughly. After you've done this, you should see the return of the proper representation of this arterial line waveform. It should also give you a number indicating what the patient's current blood pressure is. If you have any other questions, there is a policy on Sinai connection under policy stat with all the indications and contraindications of A-line placement. Thank you very much for your time.